everyone, this is Booyah again, and today we're going to be going over parts 2 and 3 of tips for running a section or gaming community. Part 2 is member expectations and ranks, and part 3, which we'll be ending on, is recruiting. I promised this in the comments to a gentleman who commented on our last video, and I just wanted to make sure I hit all the stops for this part. I think I'm going to extend this series a little bit more because I think that I'm not hitting enough points. So today will be expectations and ranks, which is basically the getting your clan or guild or section started. And then part 3 will be how to actually get it started and the steps that are taken to do so. So for member expectations and ranks, the first part we're going to go over is you have to come up with, before anything else, because people can just play with their names, you don't need a rank structure or anything like that, but the first step you have to do is you have to come up with a judicial system. So we at myclan, marauderclan.com, use the CNP or crime and punishment system. We created it on our own. Basically, I think I talked about this a bit in the last video. I chose one leader who I found to be very neutral in all of his posts. He may end up writing about how he does the crime and punishment system himself. But I chose him to run the entire section to make the final decision on everything because I tend to be too angry when I have to deal with the judicial part of things. And that's not fair to people trying to get a fair shake from us. So I put one person in charge of it who's very neutral. And basically when we get a complaint or a accusation or a report about somebody, we assign a neutral investigator who has nothing to do with them. They go and they collect all the facts and figures and all the quotes, and then we see if there's any evidence. So other witnesses, you have to have some form of evidence or you shouldn't be doing it. Other witnesses, video, stream, audio recording, pictures, anything. Otherwise, if we have absolutely no evidence and no witnesses, then you don't get a report, and that person doesn't get in trouble. We may put them on a watch list where we're just kind of keeping an eye on them because we're not sure about them, but that's it, because we have no information to go on, and we're not going to punish someone on your word. And that's on anybody's word who is basically a lower rank than a lieutenant, and we'll go over that as well. So that's how we run our crime and punishment system. There's a lot of council systems out there. There's a demerit system out there. There's a lot of different ways that the people who use forums, not just clans and sections, but people that use forums do a punishment or a demerit system. And I found that the council system is complete garbage because no one can ever make a decision. And the demerit system's even worse because then it's like, well, okay, I did this and I did this, but I still have open ends for this, and okay, I'm safe on this, but then I can't ever do this, and it's a fucking hodgepodge. And demerit system's just garbage. In my life, in the military, in real life, I found that the demerit system was garbage, and I even got in trouble for things that I don't think I should have gotten in trouble for at all. Like I had a hair right here once, and I got written up for that because of that type of system. So no, I don't like the demerit system. I don't like the council system. I want one person in charge that is trusted, and we do neutral investigations, and every time it's a fair shake. I think that's the only way it should be done, and that's the way we run it. The next part is cursing. Do you allow cursing in your section or gaming community? And do you not allow it? Is it limited? My point is that I run a gaming clan of adults, and they're going to curse. Like, fuck, shit, fuck, I don't care. You can curse all you like. For us, we've banned 3 words that we know to be highly sensitive. I'm going to say them on the air, so if you're at work or you have the sound turned up, turn it down. Faggot, I really don't like. I grew up in California. I was friends and grew up with a lot of gay people, and I know particularly I really don't like that word. I have a hard time saying this one. Nigger. We banned nigger completely. You're not allowed to say it. I don't even say it right myself, but I'm a super white guy, so that makes sense. And then my personal hatred is with cunt. I don't allow it. It's very hard to deal with that specific word because apparently in the gaming world, that is a huge word that people like to use. So I've already had to warn somebody twice yesterday. I know it's not his fault, so I'm not really hammering him on it too much. But if it keeps happening and I've already warned him, then it's a problem. And so that's what we did. Now, you can completely ban cursing if you'd like. It never fucking works. Everybody curses. You can try and do that all you want, or you can completely allow cursing. But if you allow it without any restrictions, it may give the idea that your specific section or clan or whatever you're trying to do is open to the idea that you can be racist, that you can be sexist, or that you can just be an asshole. And that's why we ban a couple of words that we know to be highly sensitive. Everything after that is what we call a comfortability bubble, where you have to know what the comfort level is of those people around you. So if somebody just jumps into my channel, say his name is Jack B. Nimble, and I've never seen this fucking guy before, I'm not going to go off on Smalls, who's a Latino, even though I do a lot of racist jokes with him. He doesn't back with me because I'm white. Uh, I'm not going to go off on him about, Cuba and Mexico and all the other jokes that we make with each other. I've known Smalls for 5 or 6 years. This is just what we do with each other. But I'm not going to do that around this guy because, for all I know, he is Cuban or Mexican or anything, and he takes extreme offense to that. It's a comfortability bubble. Don't fuck around if you don't know them. It's that simple. So that's something that a lot of people don't understand, but that's something that we look at. Now, for rank systems specifically, member expectations is where this comes in. And basically, most clans use a military rank structure because we know them. So, the old clan I was in, they had a pseudo Marine rank structure and a pseudo Army rank structure, which drove me crazy to no end. For us, we went strictly with the Army. We even have a specialist rank, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But you don't have to use a military rank structure. You can use whatever you want. When I was in my old clan, I even had an idea that we could run the system like, well, Congress doesn't really run very well, but you could run a system like Congress because the people in our sections were constituents, and that actually makes sense. You'd have congressmen and senators, and the governor would be the section lead, and then after that, you got the president, which would have been the founder or whoever, whatever. But I thought that was a really cool idea, but then I realized that anybody, who doesn't actually like our political system is going to hate it. So that's why I decided not to push that out of my current community. I just went with the military because it's well understood. But you can use whatever the fucking rank structure you want. The thing is you got to have a set of lower admins, and you got to have a set of higher admins, and then you got to have a leadership set. And so there's a difference. So when people first join or whatever, then they're going to be a low-ranking person. They need to work their way up because of trust and longevity. So we started out, we just changed our rank structure about a month ago. To try and incorporate more of what my clan base was asking for. So we got rid of all this extra hoopla that we were doing before because it was just really hurting and people weren't want to stick around because it's too much effort. But basically we put an enlisted rank in, which is you join the clan, you're an enlisted, you stay at that for 2 weeks, and we put into the system for the website, it'll auto-promote you in 2 weeks to full member. There you go. Then after you've been in the clan for 3 months, we did season member. And then after you've been in the clan for a year, you get veteran member. Then after 3 years, you get senior member, and you get this whole different set of things. And the reason we did that is because, kind of like Pokemon, got to catch them all, everybody has to have a goal that they move towards. I'm very achievement hunting in how I play. If I find that I'm playing a beta that I love very much, a closed beta, and they're going to wipe when they go to open beta, I immediately stop playing it. Because all the progress I'm going to make is gone. You have to have some form of progression or people will get bored. You have to have it. So even after we've been here for 3 years and then my guys move up to senior member, then I'm going to have to come up with another rank that's after that. So maybe it'll be ancient member or fucking long forgotten graybeard member. I don't know. But that's just something you have to put in. Then that's my member ranks. Now we go on to NCOs. Why do you have to have NCOs? Because to be straightforward, you have to have somebody to do the bitch work. I mean, I know my own guys are going to watch this video, but that's what the NCO rank is. It's the bitch work. It's where you got to, help with the coaching, or you got to help with writing guides, or you got to help with running game nights, or you got to help with this and that and this and that and hoop and ha. That's what the NCO rank is for. It's your first step in admin. You need to do everything at the bottom level so that when you're at the upper level and you tell your guys to do something and they have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, well, you've already done everything at the bottom level. So you know exactly what to tell them to do. Then you've got the higher rank NCOs, and their whole job is just to make sure that the lower rank NCOs are doing their job. That's literally all you basically want them to do. Then you got the LTs or the majors or the colonels or however you have it structured for your senior officers is what we call them. LT and major would be junior officers for us, and colonel in general would be senior officer. So your RLTs and majors, they run their sections, and they run the bigger areas like departments. So I have a colonel because she runs my entire coaching staff, and she also runs my entire news team. And then I've got another colonel who does all my member removals and member reinstatements. So those are department jobs. And we decided that departments' ranks would be completely based upon each department. So I only give them the rank I think they actually need to do the job. I don't overstack it because there's no reason to. Um, I only promote people to general if they're running something major. Like I promoted one guy named Vindex to general because he runs my entire TeamSpeak. That's a huge job. It's a lot. It has a lot going on. He also helps run our outfits, which are our official teams, and he helps with a couple other things like NCO training. So that's a general job. So the more jobs they take on, the more responsibilities they have, the higher the rank they go. Um, my lieutenant, and the difference between a lieutenant and a sergeant is that a lieutenant is trusted with actual access to my forum system, like admin CP, where they can add and remove people and do interviews and a lot of other things that are very highly important to us. And if the wrong person gets power, they can fuck our entire system. So that's why, generally speaking, people don't get LT unless we trust them in one sense or another. Anyone can reach colonel to sergeant major, and we trust you a little, but you got to trust you quite a bit for you to get LT. So that's what a big difference is between an officer and an NCO. Then the higher up you go in our system, then the more access you have to different things that go on within the background. So you want to keep an eye on that because don't promote people you don't trust, and that's up to the owner and founder because they're the one that built everything. So I have complete control over my clan system structure on promotions and demotions. It's all me. So I have a lot of LTs and majors and colonels that are trying to play fucking hopscotch with our NCOs, and I'm gonna remove this guy or I'm gonna demote this guy. I want to promote this guy. Well, sometimes I'm gonna tell them no because I've already talked to that guy and he's got some life shit going on. He's gonna be back in 2 weeks, and I don't need you demoting him. So I always tell them don't demote anybody without talking to me first. That's my job. So, and the difference is that I have a rapport with every NCO and officer that I can, anytime I can. I'm not best friends with everyone, but they know they can come talk to me if something's going on. So, officer and NCOs, what's the difference? The difference is that you trust your officers very much, you fully trust your senior officers, and then your NCOs are people you're just starting to get used to, and you're just starting to know. And then how much work are they supposed to do, as in how many jobs and all that. I try to restrict my NCOs to only having one job each if I can. If they want to take on two, that's fine, but sometimes I give them a little extra promotion if they do it for a while. I don't normally promote people right out for getting a new job. I wait until they've done it for a little bit so I can make sure they're actually doing the job the right way and they're actually going to do it, and then they get a promotion. My officers tend to have two or more jobs. So, like I said, for Wraith, she's my news team lead, she's my editor, she's my proofreader, and she runs my coaches. So she's got a shitload of jobs, so that's why she's a colonel. The more jobs you take on, the more we promote you. If I don't have a job open for you, it's because I don't think you're a good fit for it, so thus you don't get promoted until we do. Not everybody's going to be good for everything. Wraith is getting she's getting a doctorate in English, so she makes sense to run my news team and proofread everything because she fucking knows the English language. And she's very patient and calm, so thus she runs my coaching team. You always assign people based upon what they fit best. Keeping your lower ranked people to one job at a time makes it so that they have to focus on doing that one job. I've got one guy who's doing 6 jobs right now, and he's not doing any of them that well. So that's a problem. And he already knows I'm going to talk to him about it soon. Because I told him and I warned him, don't take on too many jobs if you can't do them all. Well, he's taking on everything and not doing anything. It's much better to be very, very good at one or two things than it is to be kind of not great at everything. The way I recently changed the structure is I had to demote a leader and I had to promote a leader because I like to have an odd number, and we'll go into that at the end of this portion. I had to demote one leader because he was inactive. He was inactive for a very long time. He never said anything, and so we had to demote him, but I was waiting for him to tell me that he can't do his job anymore, and it took a very long time, much longer than it should have, and he knows that. And I'm not going to demote a leader who's just one rung below me unless they tell me they want to be demoted, or unless I see them doing something amoral, which it's a little unethical if he's not doing his job and not telling me, but that's one thing, and I'm just doing my best here. But if they don't tell me that they want to be demoted, I don't demote them normally for leaders. I promoted my other guy because I needed an odd number, and he was a European, and I haven't had any European leaders yet, and he's extremely well liked and respected in the system. He moved up from being a brand new member when he joined, and then I promoted him up to, I think, straight to sergeant after a little while because he was in Rocket League, and then he got promoted LT to run over the set to run the section because the previous guy was not doing it at all. And then he asked who I should promote to sergeant, and I said, well, um, why don't we promote an American up to sergeant? And then boom, now his section starts taking off because now he's got a European side that he runs, and his sergeant runs the American side. And he built upon his trust with his members, and he worked his way up really fast. And he ended up hitting colonel, and then he asked for a retirement, so I gave it to him, and we put someone else in charge who's doing a really good job. And now he asked to come back, and he wanted to run this and this and this, and so I said, okay, well, that's a general's job, so I gave him general because I trust him. And then the leader retired. I need a new leader. Boom, there it goes. It's all about trust and longevity. He'd been with me for 9 months to a year before I got promoted to leader, and that's the new status quo for becoming a leader in my clan. Is you have to be with us for at least a year, and you got to work your way up the chain. You got to do all the bitch work like he did. He did the recruiting, he did the game nights, he did coaching, he ran teams. I mean, he did everything. He knows exactly how everything runs. And now he's the guy that tells people how it's supposed to be run because he's been through all of the wrong steps and all of the mistakes over time, including doing a lot of things without talking to me first. And he's learned that that's not how you're supposed to do it anymore. So trust and longevity is the way you want to promote people over time. And you want to try and make sure that you promote people most of the time that agree with you or that see what you're trying to do. But sometimes you even want to promote people like Purple and I disagree quite a bit on cases of crime and punishment. And that's fine because I need to have somebody's different perspective sometimes as well. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you get somebody who disagrees with you every once in a while. You just don't want somebody that does it all the time. And then leadership is the last part of the member expectations and ranks part because who you promote is what you're telling your people you're interested in. I promoted Steiker up to leader fairly quickly because I needed somebody to run my crime and punishment, take a little bit of a load off of me. And he's pretty well liked. He's pretty well known throughout my community. He knows every section. He knows people within every section. And he basically is respected, which is the big deal, because I don't want to ever promote anybody who isn't well respected in the community. Because if you start promoting people that nobody likes, regardless of whatever job they do, then you're starting to create an insurrection because they're saying, well, he fucking promoted this guy, but he didn't promote me, and nobody likes this guy because of X reason and Y reason and Z reason. So you always got to kind of promote somebody who has an affable or a real personality, basically. I mean, you can have workhorse after workhorse after workhorse after workhorse, but if nobody likes them, then everybody's going to start thinking that your entire leadership and officer corps are a bunch of dickbags. So being affable and having a personality and being well liked is important. You also want somebody who's decent technical minded. I'm garbage with HTML code, but I have a developer for that. But I build the award system in, and I built this in, and I built X and Y in because I just studied the system for a long time. That's how I know how to do it so well. Then you also want somebody for leadership who's got a special talent. So Steiker's good at being neutral, so he runs my crime and punishment. Purple Goose is good at writing and at explaining what I'm trying to explain and anything like that. He's very good at putting it into a better word structure. So I put him in charge of policies and procedures and public relations. So he talks to outside sources and outside of the clan and XY over here. It's going to put my FAQ system in so that we can better explain how everything works. So that's why he matches that. And I needed that because it's another job that I was doing that takes away too much time for me to be able to focus on other things. So that's kind of how I've decided how my leader's going to be. Another point on the leadership system before we end the segment is, do you want to have a council system or do you not want to have a council system? So a council system, I run a hybrid in Marauder Clan where there are situations that I am not neutral on, and you want to be neutral anytime you can, but there are situations where there's an extreme gray area, and if it's a situation like that, I keep an odd number on my leadership board. So I've got Top Gun, I've got Steiker, I've got Purple Goose. So Top Gun, Steiker, Purple Goose, myself, and then I've got Sarah, and then I've also got two others who can see the section but don't normally weigh in as much unless I ask them to. And you want to keep it an odd number so you always come up with a decision on a situation. Not everyone's always going to like it, but that's the way it was voted. Most situations I handle myself. If I don't like how something's working, or if I think we should add something else in the system, then I just do it because I think it's going to be better. Um, Pertaining towards gray area situations where if a clan wants to merge with ours, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to do that. If a clan wants to merge with ours, or if I'm personally involved in a crime and punishment case, then I'm supposed to step out of it and I have them deal with it. It's even gotten to the point twice now that I've had to be investigated myself for a potential power abuse situation. Um, Both of them turned out well for me, but that's what the council system is for. I don't use it unless I have to, because anytime you run something by a council system, nothing happens. It takes for fucking ever because everybody's got to weigh in. You got to tally votes. You got to do this. I mean, you can try and set a time frame that something needs to be done, but rarely will ever be met. It's just a garbage system to run anything. You just need to find somebody who's intelligent and can run something and have them fucking run it. And then if they become compromised, then you have somebody else come in and take care of it until that compromised situation's gone. Then that original person comes back to running it. So that's section 2, which is member expectations and ranks. Now we're going to be moving on to recruitment, which is how you build any clan, basically. It's also how you build any section. It's also how you build any guild. For most of you guys, and pretty much everybody in the world at one point or another has been a World of Warcraft guild leader. You understand that you have to have somebody in charge of recruiting or how to recruit. For my section, we started with 2 games, Dirty Bomb and Heroes of the Storm. Dirty Bomb flamed out because the game crapped out. Heroes of the Storm took off. So that's what we recruited for. Currently, I'm building a recruitment base for Dreadnought run by Twig on a Limb. And I'm also starting up a Dota 2 side with India's Mafia that's eventually going to be going on and running. And then we also have For Honor that's coming up. And we have a couple of other games that are coming up, which saying all that completely dates this video, but that's fine. It's just to give an understanding that I'm not necessarily recruiting for the game. I'm recruiting for the leaders of the next games. I'm trying to find that next person that's going to run a section that's going to run it right. So I make sure I go over every step of how recruiting works and how we expand into that section before we ever actually get to that point. So basically a step-by-step would be we start playing a game called Dreadnought, and we decide that this is a fantastic game. So I waited and I waited and I waited, and we got 30 keys from the company called Greybox. They were super nice about it. And we still didn't have anybody, even out of those 30 keys, who stepped up and said, hey, I'd like to run a section for this. So I said, oh, okay, well, we'll just keep waiting. We'll keep waiting. And then all of a sudden, Twig on a Limb is talking to Vindex and tells me that he's been waiting for 2 or 3 months to get into this game, and he's been watching videos of it for days. And so I give him the key, and I say, all right. And then he plays it for a little bit, and I say, well, do you want to run a section for it? Because we don't have a section lead, and it's not going to have a section unless you run it. And he said, okay, sure. So I explained. So you got to build a roster because you need to know who you're playing with. You got to find forums to recruit on. You want at least 3 to get started with. You got Reddit, and that counts as 1. And then you got the official forums. Then you try to start finding side forums or fan sites or so on and so forth. And you got to be able to do forum bumps. There's a daily forum bump unless that there's a website that says in the rules, don't do a daily forum bump, then that's fine. You just do it whenever it's just to drop off the front page. And then you want to start trying to recruit in game, like, oh, hey, I just kicked all your asses, but come fucking check us out, and I'll show you how to kick asses with us. I mean, that's pretty effective a lot of times. Then you want to start looking at websites, and you start looking at people who are saying, hey, I'm looking for a team, or I'm looking for a clan, or I'm looking for fucking people, or this is a desert wasteland, I'm all alone, here's some water. You just want to be able to connect with people and try and get a personal relationship with them as the section lead, and then bring them in. And you want to say, okay, this is Gary X, and this is Gary B. Hey, Gary X, this is Gary B. Meet each other. Oh, you play Corvette? Well, he plays Tactical Cruiser. So let's get together because that's a good combo. And then that's all it is. It's just introducing people and making connections with them. The type of members you want to grab are hard to specify, because you don't want to go for the hardcore people, especially when you're first starting up a game section. Hardcore people aren't necessarily going to be impressed by what you're doing because your forum doesn't have a lot of activity yet. You don't have, maybe you don't have a lot of TS channels built for it yet, or so on and so forth. You don't really want to go for the hardcore people. You want to go for the people who aren't that good at the game yet, or are just getting into it, so that you can learn about the game together. You can coach your lesser lesser skilled players, and you want to build it up as much as you can. And that's the best idea you can have. Is just to find the nice people who suck at the game and group together so you can all suck together, and then you can learn together and get better over time. That's what you want. That's what every section wants to start with. The shittier the player, the better, as long as they have the idea that they can get better over time. So that's what you want to focus on right there. After that, it's basically just building your section. You want to get your game nights going. You want to get your coaching, and you want to get everything running, basically. So basically, yeah, that's how you want to start it out. Is just look for those forums, and you can use Google keywords of Dreadnought forum, and that would be fine. Dreadnought clan, you may find other Dreadnought clans, and that's fine. But then you might be able to find yours, and then you got to build SEO into your website. So Dreadnought clan pings for your website too, and it's a lot of work. But the whole idea of it is just you want to make a forum post, and it's going to have the logo of your clan, and then after that, below that, you're going to have information about what the clan is, what the clan does, and then after that, you want to have something as simple as how many events you have going on each week, or try and leave the member count out. We have 4,000 Dreadnought players. Well, nobody gives a shit, and besides, that number is going to go up and down constantly, so it doesn't make sense. You just want to give a general idea of what the clan is, what your focus and goal for the clan and the section is, and then what your current goals in Dreadnought are, and then update it over time. And it's that simple. And then you only really want to use the clan logo at the top. You don't want to do your logo or a Dreadnought logo or any of that bullshit. You just need to use the clan logo because the clan is what you're recruiting for. Admittedly, you're focusing on the section, but you're recruiting for the clan or the section, or however this video is supposed to go. You don't want to overdo the graphics, and you don't want to overdo the text. If you overdo either, then it gets to be kind of an eyesore and people only glance at it. You want to make it real simple, just a short paragraph, the clan logo, and that's it. If you want to build it into like a graphical box with Photoshop, you can do that, but any more than that, and you're starting to just overpower the feeling of the recruiting. Like, if you don't want to make it too streamlined or professional, because then people think, well, then I'm just a cog in the wheel, or I'm just a cog in the machine, or however you want to do it. People do think that way. You want to try and just reach out and find somebody who's like-minded as you. So the potential applicants you're looking for are just new and want to learn and want to have fun. That's all you want. I mean, you can get the experienced guys later on, but those are the people you want to start with. And then once you get them to the website, you need to make sure that your website's up to date. You need to make sure that your forums have some kind of activity, even if it's just you and a couple friends posting a lot. That's all it takes. You want to make sure that you have a roster for whatever games you guys are playing. You have a calendar set up. You have people in charge, and they're known to be in charge. You want to have a clear line of succession for everything that you do. And then for the website itself, if you want to have a splash page, that's up to you. We don't currently have one. We got somebody who's kind of working on it, kind of not working on it. I'm not really sure. I got to check in with them. But I'm not really a huge fan of splash pages, which is where you just type in the website and then you get all this shit jumping out at you all the time. I fucking hate that. I'd rather just see a clean cut, go straight to the forum, and I'm there. But I understand that a lot of people think a splash page is a lot more professional, so I'm working on one, and that's, we'll put it up, we'll test it out, we'll see if we like it. If we don't like it, then we don't have to use it. But that's just something that's food for thought, because the first step is deciding what section you want to have. Then the second step is finding the lead or getting a lead for that section. Then the third step is building up your roster and your forums just a little bit. Then you want to recruit. And then after you start your recruiting, you need to look back and say, okay, well, if I'm a potential applicant or I'm somebody who's just coming in to look, what am I looking at here? And that's the process. Keeping people, member retention, that's the next video, and that's the hardest part. But for recruitment, it's get your posts up, get your leader, get your posts up, get your forums active, and then try and build from there. And I will tell you that the number one way to bring people in is to find people who say they're looking for teams, they're looking for players, looking for clans, or they're having a hard time, and send them a private message and say, hey, I understand you're having a hard time. I understand it's difficult to find people to play with, or or to find like-minded people, and that's fine because we're here and this is what we can do for you. And if you personalize it every time, then you have a pretty damn good chance of actually getting that person to join. But that's it for sections 2 and 3 of tips for running a section or gaming community. Thanks for watching. The next section is going to be member retention. That's going to be a big one because that's the hardest thing to do. It's not that hard to bring people in. It's very, very difficult to keep them. So keep an eye out, and I'll see you soon.